This is Joel Embiid, Media Day earlier today, talking about Ben Simmons. I think it's like a 2-minute clip, so take a listen.
Our teams have always been built around his needs. So it was kind of surprising to see, what was said that, the reason we signed out is, we got rid of Jimmy, which I still think it was a mistake, just to make sure that he needed the ball in his hands, and, that's a decision they made. Like I said, it is surprising. The situation is weird, disappointing, borderline kind of disrespectful to all the guys that are out here.
I actually thought it was a kind of a brilliant remark from Embiid, where he's like, look, he wants to go somewhere where he gets the ball. That's all we've done here. He wants shooters around him, like we've surrounded him with shooters. What all do you want? What could you possibly want above what we've already done for you? That's what he's saying. That's the translation. The grass is not always greener. And whatever you want to think about the rest of the franchise not being all in, they're in based upon how they built this team. And I think it's a really strong argument. Byron, let me ask you, you've done this for a long time. You've covered the league for a long time. What do you think of Embiid? I'm sure people are going to say, like, you can't talk about your teammate that way. I didn't think there was anything terribly negative, only in that the way in which he's going about it does take away from the guys they currently have on the team. That's fair. That's where the disrespectful part comes in. But I didn't actually think that anything was inaccurate or mean-spirited or even negative towards Ben.
Yeah, and I actually think that there was a point in time where, and I do not put myself in this camp because I've always just thought Embiid was 10 times better than Ben Simmons was, especially on the offensive end, that there was a point in time where Embiid seemed to be the problem in Philadelphia, according to some, offensively, because Embiid was the one who was maybe clogging up the lane, and Embiid had to be the guy that needed to stand out stand out by the three-point line so Ben Simmons could have his room. That was a narrative at one point in all of this. And so Embiid could have maybe taken the low road or could have, latched onto those sort of things, but he did it in a way that was seemed to be a straight shooter without any ill intent to it. And his point about the other guys on the team, I think, is actually a smart way of taking your argument and saying, hey, it's not just about me and it's not just about Ben. There are other guys here as well that are a part of this. So I thought it was a very, very smart move, and it could have gone a different way just because of that narrative that I thought some spoke about, had been out there for a year or two.
Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. You nailed a bunch of different really good, really smart points. Jay Stu, when you listen to it, what do you think?
I think that Joel Embiid was saying what a lot of analysts have been saying. The candid way he said it was refreshing, right? You just don't hear athletes speak that way. I mean, when he says that it was a mistake to get rid of Butler, I think that kind of stuff is fascinating to me. So, yes, it was truthful, and it's not something we haven't heard. You just don't hear it from athletes.
Yeah, and I also thought even the way in which he said it was a mistake. He's a mistake, I think, right? Which was a smart way of putting it. It's a mistake, I think, to bring in Al. He didn't say it was to keep. It wasn't like he said, well, to keep Ben was a mistake, right? I mean, he was very, very cautious and kind of respectful in a way in which, but he said, look, what we did was to put the ball in Ben's hands even more and space the floor with shooters, and it still didn't work, which is fair. Like, I didn't think he was unfair at all. And I understand that normally we don't get guys talking about it, other guys in their team, but I'm also sure I'm also sure that he sounds like an analyst because this is how basketball people think. Like, what all are you looking for? Like, here we're close to winning a championship. You got to get better. We're spacing the floor around you. Like, doesn't make any sense.
I felt there have been so many concessions in Philadelphia that aided Ben Simmons, whether it be from the team, whether it be from fans. I felt that Ben Simmons always got the benefit of the doubt when it came to everything. And in fact, Embiid's kind of taken the short end of the stick. We know he's had injury problems. That's why he fell to third. If he was never injured, he would have been the first overall pick in that draft. I don't think that there was any question about that. But that's always kind of hung over him. Well, how many concessions have there been for Ben Simmons? And it was finally, honestly, Doug, it was finally of him passing up that dunk in the playoffs that just was like the final nail in the coffin of like, all right, what can we do here? But I think that Simmons has gotten the benefit of the doubt on pretty much everything when it happened in Philadelphia.
No question about it. None. No question about it. They have acquiesced to that, and that's what Ben is saying. And I mean, I assume that's what Embiid is saying, without going into personal stuff, without going into practices, without going to anything else. I think he's being real smart. He's just doing the basketball thing, but like basically saying like, look, we acquiesce to everything, and the guy's still unhappy. What are we doing here?
Look at just how we would compare when Giannis hits a three in a game. You know what you say? Like, oh boy, he's going to start shooting a lot more because he made one. And it's almost like a negative thing. When Ben Simmons hit 1 3, we're like, man, if he adds this to his game, he's going to be unstoppable. When he attempted one and actually made one, like it's he got an easy pass on so many things for so long because of his unique skill set, and it's kind of started to go away because of what happened at that dunk situation. But man, I'm sorry, I felt this way for a long time on Ben Simmons, so it may seem like I'm piling on, but I think he got the easy road. He got the pass through the velvet rope, got on the other side, and there were so many other things. Him just making 1 3 was thought of as a bonus, and it was absurd.
Well, I will tell you that he pushed back on me. This is back, he had a film out about his time at LSU, and I'm just being totally honest. Like, he was not a great teammate, wasn't a hard worker. Guys did not have great things to say about him. And yet all he ever did was, talk bad about all the things that he felt like he couldn't do or were unfair or weren't like, okay. He just did not seem like a guy who was able to be pleased and he's never been held accountable. Like, hey dude, like, I get it. I mean, I've been there where you feel like, hey, the likelihood of me making the shot is not great. So whereas somebody else is a much better shooter, I can get them a better shot. Yeah, that's great. But you open up so many more opportunities if you yourself score and become a viable threat. But to me, it was more when I was there and I would observe the team. Johnny Jones never held him accountable. And, he was never super engaged, wasn't seen as a great teammate, and those things carried over. So I did carry that against him, but I would still point out, I think he's savable, fixable as a player, but it's going to come down to him kind of surrendering to the fact that he has no confidence in it, and a coach and a general manager figuring out how to get that out of him. But I don't think it happens in Philadelphia, quite obviously.